by the way. Today we are navigating the dark, chaotic, and frankly terrifying narrative of a horror film transcript titled Nocturne.
It is a wild ride. The premise drops us right into a high school graduation party that just spirals into absolute madness.
Absolute madness. And the core tension we're trying to untangle for you today is this. Are we witnessing a genuinely supernatural demonic possession, or is this a chemically induced collective nightmare?
And that ambiguity, that's the engine of the entire story. We are dropped into this cast of teenage characters as Joe, Isaac, Gabe, Marin, and Liam. And they're gathering at Isaac's house to celebrate graduating high school. It's that ultimate, highly charged transition into adulthood. Music is playing, they're complaining about other parties, cutting a cake. On the surface, it is so mundane.
Pretty standard stuff, yeah.
But looking at this as a psychological case study, it really explores how the human brain processes the unknown when its foundational logic is just kicked out from under it. The narrative uses religious iconography, deep-seated adolescent insecurity, and altered states of consciousness to ask a profound question. What happens when we can no longer trust our own senses?
Well, before any actual chaos erupts, these characters basically invite disaster through pure, unadulterated hubris. Specifically, this character named Gabe.
Oh, Gabe, yeah.
He's the resident militant skeptic of the group. And early on, he performs this incredibly intrusive, bizarre card trick.
So manipulative.
It really is.
Yeah.
He has two people sign a playing card. He makes them hold a card between their teeth, and then they essentially have to, kiss to pass it to one another.
Right.
When they unfold it, it reveals a trick. And he uses this highly manipulative stunt to argue his overarching worldview. He basically claims that all supernatural events, all religions, are just failed sciences or magic tricks.
He literally calls them unfalsifiable claims.
Right, comparing them to believing in leprechauns or living in the Matrix. Riding this high of self-proclaimed intellectual superiority, he decides to initiate a seance using a deck of cards and a wine glass as a makeshift planchette.
Which is fascinating because he is laying the architectural groundwork for their psychological destruction without even realizing it.
Yeah.
He introduces this concept of the Devil's Bible. Historically, playing cards were banned in various European cultures back in the 1300s.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. When cards first arrived in Europe, religious authorities viewed them not just as a distraction from piety, but as tools of chaos, divination, and a subversion of divine order.
Wow.
So Gabe takes this obscure historical footnote and assigns incredibly dark, specific theological meanings to the cards for this seance.
He builds an entire mythology right there in the living room. He dictates that the king represents Satan, the great deceiver.
Right.
The 10 represents the spirit of lawlessness. Clubs represent the spirit of murder. He says the Jack is a lustful libertine, the Queen is the mother of harlots, and the Joker.
The Joker is wild.
Yeah, the Joker represents Jesus Christ being held up to ridicule.
Which serves a very specific purpose in the story. Gabe explicitly states he is conducting a social experiment.
Right.
He wants to prove a point about human gullibility, and he specifically cites the ideomotor effect.
For anyone unfamiliar, what exactly is that?
So the ideomotor effect is a psychological phenomenon where a person's expectations or suggestions cause them to make subtle, unconscious muscle movements. It's the brain sending motor signals to the fingertips without the conscious prefrontal cortex ever registering the decision to move.
Oh, wow.
Gabe wants to prove his friends are just projecting their own subconscious thoughts onto the wine glass and moving it themselves.
But wait, if he's doing this as a social experiment, isn't Gabe essentially playing with a loaded weapon while loudly convincing everyone in the room it's just a toy replica?
That is a great way to put it.
He is waving it around, pointing it at his friends, thinking he is the smartest guy in the room because he knows the gun can't fire. His extreme skepticism is actually a massive blind spot.
Exactly.
By introducing the Devil's Bible, he inadvertently establishes the exact religious and supernatural vocabulary that the ensuing nightmare will use against them. He brings the weapon into the room and loads it with religious terror, all while claiming the chamber is empty.
That is the tragic irony of his character. He provides the very framework for their trauma. And then we see the shift from this high-minded, arrogant philosophical debate into the messy interpersonal reality of high school dynamics.
Oh yeah, it gets real petty real fast.
Right. During this makeshift Ouija board session, the spirits, or the kids' own micro-muscle movements, spell out a highly cryptic message. Sweetest release.
And instead of asking profound questions about the universe or the afterlife, these teenagers ask the most vicious things imaginable.
They really do.
They ask, who has STDs, specifically interrogating if someone named Hannah Bailey has crabs. They ask how many people everyone in the room has slept with. They demand to know why Liam abandoned someone at prom the previous year.
It's just brutal.
The entire vibe turns instantly hostile.
Well, we have to consider where these characters are developmentally. They are at a liminal juncture.
Graduation.
Yes, graduation is a terrifying threshold. The brain is hyper-aware of social standing, terrified of the future, and leaving the safety of childhood. They are projecting their existential dread about growing up onto each other by just picking at the scabs of their social dynamic.
And the tension just spirals completely out of control.
Yeah.
They move from the seance to a game of Never Have I Ever in the hot tub, which seems entirely designed to expose each other's secrets. And from there, it escalates into a deeply aggressive game of strip blackjack fueled by shots of alcohol. And it is during this peak social hostility that the massive plot twist of the story drops.
The RC Cola.
Yes, Isaac, the host of the party, casually admits that he spikes the drinks. He reveals he put a massive dose of LSD, 6 cubes to be exact, into the RC Cola that everyone has been drinking all night.
6 cubes is an astronomical amount.
He took it himself, realized it was catastrophically powerful, and then just decided to dose everyone else without telling them.
The introduction of a massive dose of a psychedelic fundamentally alters the mechanics of the story. At that dosage, LSD completely disrupts the brain's default mode network.
So think of it this way for you listening. Imagine your reality is a symphony orchestra. Your prefrontal cortex is the conductor, keeping all the sensory inputs, sight, sound, memory, logic, playing the same sheet music.
I love that analogy.
Taking 6 cubes of acid is like kidnapping the conductor. Suddenly, the string section is playing a waltz, the brass is screaming a death march, and the percussion is just setting things on fire. The brain can no longer distinguish between an internal anxiety and an external physical threat.
That orchestra analogy perfectly captures the breakdown of their shared consensus reality. The drug takes their internal psychological dread, the guilt over prom, the sexual insecurity, the fear of the future, and projects it outward into the physical space.
Right.
The LSD strips away their inhibitions, but more importantly, it strips away their ability to agree on what is happening in the room.
Which makes interpreting the next sequence of events nearly impossible. We enter this incredibly dark territory where the line between a severe acid trip and literal demonic possession entirely vanishes.
It just evaporates.
Marin, one of the girls at the party, appears to have a violent seizure. But when she recovers, her entire demeanor is transformed. She begins speaking in a deeply terrifying, authoritative voice.
It's chilling.
She threatens the group, demonstrating impossible physical power and supernatural knowledge. And she starts weaponizing the Bible against them.
And the specific scripture she selects is devastating. It is designed to dismantle them psychologically.
It really is. She quotes the book of Job, telling him, "A man that is born of a woman is a few days and full of trouble."
Right.
And she follows that up with a terrifying passage from the Gospels about an unclean spirit leaving a man, wandering through dry places, and then returning with 7 other spirits more wicked than himself.
Reminding them that the final state of that man is far worse than the first.
Yeah. And the psychological torture quickly turns physically gruesome. A friend gets electrocuted. Gabe, the resident skeptic who started this whole mess, is found dead. Marin literally refers to him as a, quote, horny fried corpse.
Which is so dark. But the mockery of Gabe is particularly pointed, considering how he mocked Faith earlier in the evening.
Absolutely. Then Marin claims her name is no longer Marin. She says her name is Licia, and she adds the phrase, "For we are many." That is a direct corruption of the biblical demon Legion. In the New Testament, the demon says, "My name is Legion, for we are many."
It's a classic possession trope.
Right. She then taunts the remaining survivors with horrific imagery, saying, "Skin was the easiest part, slipped right off," and offers up a skinned Liam as a twisted present to the group. It is pure, concentrated nightmare fuel.
This is where the narrative brilliance shines. The story constructs a perfect logical trap for the audience.
Let's test that logic, though. I mean, couldn't Marin just be experiencing a severe psychotic break fueled by a massive dose of LSD?
It's highly possible.
Because earlier in the night, during the strip blackjack game, Gabe casually recited the Song of Solomon from memory, just to justify nudity, calling it an extracurricular interest.
Right, he knew the text.
If Gabe has Bible verses memorized, isn't it entirely plausible that Marin also attended Sunday school, knows these famous verses, and her acid-soaked brain is simply regurgitating them to traumatize her friends?
The text absolutely supports that interpretation. But Neurologically speaking, the ambiguity is what generates the true horror.
How so?
The human amygdala, the fear center of the brain, does not care about the source of the threat. Whether it is a chemical hallucination caused by 6 cubes of LSD or a literal demonic entity named Leisha crawling out of hell, to the characters, the experience of the terror is biologically, undeniably real.
Their terror isn't a hallucination.
Exactly. Their heart rates spike, their adrenaline floods, they experience genuine agony. Even if the demon is a hallucination, the trauma is 100% real.
That makes a lot of sense.
Furthermore, look at the structural poetry of the violence. The religious iconography that Gabe introduced as a parlor trick, the Devil's Bible, the mockery of faith, the fake seance, has materialized as a lethal weapon.
It's all coming back to bite them.
Yes. The skepticism he used as an intellectual shield has been completely inverted to destroy them. It doesn't matter if the demon is supernatural or born from Marin's subconscious. The entity is utilizing the exact psychological tools Gabe smuggled into the party.
Which brings us to the chaotic climax, and how this narrative refuses to give the audience any traditional resolution. Nearly everyone is dead or missing. Joe is left entirely alone, begging for help, trapped in an escalating nightmare.
It's so tense.
The demon continuously quotes scripture at her, specifically Matthew 10:28. Fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul. Rather, fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell.
Terrifying verse.
Joe is frantically asking what's happening to us. She is pleading to be taken away. And then the chaos instantly cuts out. The scene completely resets to the exact beginning of the night.
A total temporal collapse.
Yeah, we hear Joe arriving at the party all over again. Isaac says, "Glad you can make it. Come on in." The transcript ends with this eerie, atmospheric indie rock song playing over the resetting of their reality.
Wow.
And earlier in the story, while setting up the seance, Gabe mentions that time is an eternal round, a simultaneous experience. So did they all die? Are they actually in hell? Or is this the cyclical, inescapable, looping nature of a really bad psychedelic trip?
Well, to understand the eternal round, we really have to look at the architecture of psychological trauma. Whether this is literal hell or a chemical prison, the function is basically the same.
Right.
When a human being experiences severe trauma, such as PTSD, the brain fails to process the memory chronologically. It gets stuck. The person neurologically relives the horrific event over and over again, unable to move past it.
So the loop is the trauma.
Exactly. The time loop confirms the ultimate loss of control. If they are just high, their brain is misfiring, trapping them in a chemical echo chamber of their worst fears.
But if it's supernatural, then death is almost too easy of an escape.
Because death is final. The true punishment in this narrative is the repetition of their sins, their arrogance, and their petty cruelty. Horror as a genre frequently utilizes inescapable cycles as an allegory for unresolved guilt.
That makes perfect sense for where they are in life.
Right. These teenagers are stuck at the threshold of adulthood. They are unable to cross over because their own hubris and insecurities keep dragging them back to the starting line. The eternal round is the hell they collaboratively built for themselves, brick by brick.
We started tonight with a group of arrogant teenagers performing a graduation party trick, watched them pick apart each other's insecurities, and then plummeted into a chemically fueled descent that morphed into a demonic time loop.
It's quite a journey.
The brilliance of Nocturne is how expertly it uses the mechanics of LSD to make the supernatural threat deeply psychological, forcing us to question the stability of our own minds.
And I think stories like this resonate because they hold up a mirror to the fragility of our daily existence. We rely entirely on the biological machinery of our brains to decode the universe for us. We trust that machinery implicitly.
Don't have to.
Right. But Nocturne reminds us how easily that machinery can be hijacked, whether by a chemical compound, by unchecked guilt, or by the sheer terror of the unknown.
Think back to that baseline assumption of reality we talked about at the start. If every single thing you experience is just a chemical signal being decoded by the brain, it leaves you with a deeply unsettling question about the world we live in right now.
Yeah, it really does.
Consider how much of our current reality is curated by digital algorithms feeds that literally feed us our own fears, anxieties, and biases back to us on a loop. If we are all living in entirely different digitally constructed realities, unable to agree on basic facts, are we any different than those teenagers trapped in a basement on LSD?
That is a terrifying thought.
Maybe we don't need 6 cubes of acid to lose our consensus reality. Maybe we're already in the eternal round, just waiting for the scene to reset.